In Ernest Gaines' novel A Lesson Before Dying, we see the protagonist, Grant, uh, experience some internal conflicts as a result of the cultural conflicts that are going on in the novel. But in the end, he's able to overcome these conflicts and bring the story to a good resolution and deliver some of Gaines's messages for the novel at the same time. So to start, we begin talking about Grant, and he was born a slave in the South and escaped north to get an education, but he would only return south to teach and help those Southern black people who he grew up with. He feels it's his duty and obligation to educate these people as he wants freedom and equality, and Grant feels it's only through education that the black people can achieve this. He doesn't believe in religion. He's not very receptive to it, as you've seen through his conversations with the Reverend, and he's not very open to Jefferson either. He does it kind of reluctantly in the beginning. Talking to Annie Lou, he says, "What can I do? It's only a matter of weeks, a couple months maybe. What can I do that you haven't done in the past 21 years?" So early on, Grant is bitter and he's upset. He doesn't really want to help Jefferson. That's understandable. I mean, his people have been through a lot and he's been through a lot. And it's unfair how the whites have treated him, and he recognizes that. He's upset with how he's been treated. When he returns back to the slave's house, he feels humiliated in how he has to wait on the whites. And he's aware of the injustices that are going on in how Jefferson's been convicted and dehumanized and compared to a pig. And it's all lies and things aren't true. And he sees that and he's upset with that. I mean, he says, has the quote, "How do people come up with a date and time to take the life from another man? Who made them God? 12 white men say a black man must die, and another white man sets the date and time without consulting one black person. Justice?" So clearly, Grant is aware of the oppression and all this injustice that's going on, and is not taking too kindly of it. And that's one of Gaines's messages is this injustice, as well as the people's reaction to that and how they were bitter and they couldn't do anything because the white people set the law, but behind closed doors, it was burning at them, like discussed in Du Bois's book as well, The Souls of the Black Folk. So, continuing on, Grant Grant has a character shift, or there's a shift in his character as the book continues on in how he views Jefferson and his relationship with Jefferson. He begins really to see and believe in the importance of his dignified death and realizes how good it can be for the community, even though he's convicted to die, if he can do so as a man, not as a hog, as the people or as the white people have called him and compared him to, but as a man. He sees how this can be good for the black community and how this again can deliver one of Gaines's other messages in overcoming the white oppression is something that these black people did do. And it's something that Grant wants Jefferson to do. And this leads to character changes to both them. We see Jefferson change. He becomes a hero. He becomes a man. He learns compassion and love and friendship again. And we see Grant develop this softer side as well. He finds compassion for Jefferson, and he really opens up to him and starts enjoying these meetings because he believes in Jefferson and his story, and in sending a message to the white people through Jefferson and through his dignity. So Grant and his shift in attitude, as well as Jefferson's shift in his attitude, mark some of the big character changes in this book and carry Gaines's messages to the end. And obviously, Jefferson dies a man. He's gone through those changes and shown the power of love and friendship and compassion, not education and religion, as was argued earlier. And as well, all of these things together bring forth some of Gaines's messages. Is despite their white oppression and all the dehumanization, they couldn't take away the dignity and the culture and the humanity from these black people. What made them people? Their heritage. So Jefferson, in overcoming this, and in Grant making these internal changes and helping Jefferson to make those changes, show that they were better than these people and bring forth Gaines's messages, the power, the strength of these people, and their resolve to overcome this oppression and the power in this dignity for all black people around. Just some really powerful things. This book, obviously, very inspiring to black people and sending a powerful message of don't give in to oppression, don't let them cut you down. So I think all these changes that Grant goes through does a great job in delivering these messages and sending or bringing up the novel and wrapping it up in the good ending that it's got. It's well done, and Grant's internal changes really help to bring forth some of Gaines's underlying messages in the book. So I've definitely grown in a few ways over the course of this semester and learned some pretty important things, I would say, about literature. So one of the biggest things I've taken away from this class is that literature in all its forms, whether it be books, poetry, music, or art, is a reflection of the artist, but not just a reflection of the artist, a reflection of the artist and the social institutions that artist is living in. And this can be seen through pretty much all the authors that we read this semester. Gaines and Du Bois were both commenting on the status of blacks in an oppressive white America. Tan describes her experiences and struggles as a Chinese immigrant in American society. And Kincaid also talks about her struggles and experiences as both an Antigua native living under British control and then an immigrant in America. So, yes, much of literature is based off of authors' experiences with the current social institutions in place in their society, and they're writing to comment on this and to spread messages and bring to light their experiences so others can learn and grow in what's going on, and to just make clear what's happening in times as well. So another important thing I learned was the importance of looking at the author, because so many of these authors were writing about their personal experiences and what was going on in society at their time. It's extremely important to look at these authors because we can see, just by a quick search, we can learn more about their work and get context and everything needed so that when we read their literature, we're already exposed to what's going on, because, as I said before, so much of literature is based off of these authors' experiences and what's going on during the time that they're writing. And so I often use Marxist literary theory. That was my most used theory this semester. And Marxist theory often comments on the social institutions and looks at class differences and criticizes the class differences that exist in society. And clearly we saw this with both Souls of the Black Folk and A Lesson Before Dying with the oppressed blacks. And we also saw the difficulties of living as an immigrant in an American society where there are so many standards and anyone living outside of those standards is considered different. But back to what Marxist theory, in many cases, literature is used to try to promote some ideal or be used as a weapon, even per se, as in the case of Du Bois and Gaines. They were using literature in their books as fuel to get their message out and spread this inequality and all these wrongdoings and make clear the injustices that were happening to them. And that's something I haven't really recognized before, was the importance of literature in its time and what the authors were trying to achieve with what they were writing. And in those books, we saw them fighting for equality. And in other books, we see, for example, Tan, she wants people to understand her message, her struggles, and to try to change society and to open people up to new things. So it's important to look at this literature and to look farther than just the story and what are these authors trying to say and what do they want us to learn from their books, and to look at them in their time. And I think this is something I can carry on with me in the literature I read today, whether it be internet articles, magazines, newspapers, whatever, is to look at the underlying social institutions and look at the messages that whatever I'm reading is trying to send, and to dig deeper and see if there's anything that this is revealing. Because at this time, these were revealing huge social issues and problems going on in society. And we can do the same thing with today's literature, is try to see how these authors are using it to get this message across, like they're doing, like the authors of these books were doing. So those are some important things I've certainly learned this semester
Literature is often, again, it's representative of the author and their place in society and their views on society. And we see throughout history these people that are oppressed, that are of these lower socioeconomic classes, writing about their oppression, and they're becoming great stories and great books because they bring to light these societal problems. So again, that's important as well. The author, it's always important to research your author because so much of literature is written off of experience. And again, these are some big things I've learned this semester, and I certainly feel I've grown as a literary student and a reader.